Welcome to English Podcast Academy. You've arrived at this moment, and that means something. Maybe your day is finally winding down. The noise is fading. The sky has dimmed to that deep indigo shade that only appears just before the stars begin to show. Maybe you've turned off the big light in your room and are letting the soft glow of a lamp or your phone screen guide your evening. Perhaps you're sitting quietly in a familiar corner, the one you always retreat to when the day is done. Or maybe you're lying in bed, the blanket pulled up to your chin, your body tired but your mind still gently awake. There's a certain kind of peace that only comes when everything else slows down. The messages stop, the pressure lifts, the expectations of the outside world step back, and finally, it's just you. You're not chasing the next task. You're not rushing to get somewhere. You're here, now. And in this quiet moment, you've made a choice. It might not seem like much at first. You opened this podcast, maybe out of habit, maybe out of curiosity, maybe because you promised yourself you would try. But it's more than that. In a world full of distractions, where it's so easy to scroll, to tap, to let minutes slip away, you've chosen to listen, to learn, to grow, even if just a little. And that's not small. That's powerful. This isn't about perfection. It's not about cramming vocabulary or mastering grammar right now. This moment is softer than that. It's about creating a space for English to live inside your world. A quiet space, a personal space, a space where language doesn't just exist on a page, but in the rhythm of your breath, in the sound of your thoughts, in the stillness of your evening. Learning isn't always loud. Sometimes the most important growth happens in silence. And by being here, by choosing this, you're planting something that may grow quietly, but steadily, day after day. So welcome. Take a breath. You're exactly where you need to be. We often talk about mornings as if they are the golden key to transformation, as if everything must begin with a sunrise and a burst of motivation. But evenings, evenings hold their own kind of beauty. While mornings are loud and full of expectation, evenings are gentle. They invite you to release, to let go, to stop pretending and just be. When the sky darkens and the streetlights hum softly outside, the world takes a deep breath. And so can you. Evenings are for slowing down, not just your body, but your thoughts. They're for unclenching your jaw, softening your shoulders, and letting the endless list of shoulds finally fade into the background. This is when you remember things, not deadlines or duties, but parts of yourself that may have gotten lost in the day. Maybe the version of you that laughs easily, or the one that dreams without needing permission. This time of day has a way of calling those parts home. And now, in this space of stillness, you've chosen to bring English into the moment. Not because you have to, not because someone told you to, but because a quiet voice inside whispered, "Try." And here you are. This doesn't have to be a performance. There are no marks, no grades, no one watching. It's just you and the language. And when you let English into this calm, something subtle begins to shift. A few words start to feel familiar. A sentence flows through your mind a little easier. Your ear starts to catch the rhythm of how people really speak. You're not memorizing. You're absorbing. You're not pushing. It's unfolding. Gently, naturally. Like music you don't try to understand, but simply feel. This is the kind of learning that lasts. The kind that doesn't just live in your brain, but becomes part of your life. And it all begins with a quiet decision to listen. Let me tell you a story. one that doesn't begin with a textbook or a test, but with a single evening, just like this one. In a quiet neighborhood just outside the city, where the streets were lined with tall trees and the evenings smelled faintly of jasmine, there lived a man named Elias. His life was simple, almost rhythmic, like a song that plays softly in the background. Every evening, around 8:30, he would return home from work. He worked at a small bookstore tucked away between a cafe and a flower shop. His days were filled with the scent of old paper, the gentle chime of the bell above the door, and the constant hum of human presence. People coming in, asking for titles, talking about stories, searching for something they couldn't quite name. But when the day ended, when the last customer left and the shop lights dimmed, Elias would make his way back to his quiet apartment. The moment he stepped inside, he entered a different world. He would take off his shoes at the door, always the same pair, a little worn at the edges, and be greeted by his orange cat Milo, who weaved around his legs with a soft purr. The apartment smelled faintly of mint and wood polish. Elias would feed Milo first, always with a small thank you whispered under his breath, as if Milo had waited all day just to make the evening feel like home. Then he'd light a small lamp in the corner of his living room. It wasn't very bright, and that's exactly how he liked it. Strong lights made the night feel too loud. The lamp cast a golden glow, just enough to illuminate the steam rising from his tea, the pages of his book, or the way the shadows danced slowly across the wall when the wind stirred the curtains. He rarely turned on the ceiling light. The quietness of the room didn't need anything more. After dinner, usually something warm and simple like soup or a sandwich, Elias would sit by the window. Not to look for anything in particular, but just to be. He liked the sound of the wind brushing against the leaves. He liked seeing the faint outlines of passing cars reflected in the windows across the street. He liked the way his neighbors' curtains fluttered, as if the whole world was exhaling with him. Some evenings, he played soft music, classical guitar, or piano that sounded like it was being played far away. Other nights, he listened to old stories or gentle voices telling something quiet and slow. One night, he stumbled upon something different, an audio story in English. The voice was calm, the tone steady, and though Elias didn't understand every word, something about it held him there. It didn't matter that the language was new. It wasn't about understanding, it was about feeling. The sound of English became part of his evening, like the warmth of his tea or the ticking of the old clock in the kitchen that had belonged to his grandmother. He didn't treat it like a lesson. He didn't pause to write anything down. He didn't rewind to catch every sentence. He just listened, every night, like a quiet ritual, sometimes with his eyes closed, sometimes while petting Milo, whose purrs matched the softness of the voice in his ears. And little by little, without him even noticing, things began to change. The sounds weren't just sounds anymore, they became familiar. The patterns started to settle in his mind. Some words found meaning without effort. Some sentences made him smile, even if just slightly. He never said he was studying. He never planned to be fluent. But something inside him began to shift. The language that once felt foreign, sharp and distant, started to feel like it belonged. It wasn't a stranger anymore. It was something warm, something welcome, something that lived with him, quietly, in the corners of his peaceful life. And so, night after night, Elias continued to listen. Not because he had to, but because it simply became part of who he was. Now I want to ask you, can you picture Elias's evening? Can you see the soft glow of that little lamp in the corner, casting long shadows across the floor? Can you hear the distant hum of the city fading into silence? The sound of a teacup being gently placed on a wooden table, the faint ticking of that old kitchen clock. Can you feel the warmth of Milo curled up nearby, the softness of a worn sweater, the way the evening air feels cool but calm against the skin? This is not just a scene, it's a feeling, a kind of peace that's hard to find during the busy hours of the day, a stillness that doesn't ask for anything except that you just be there. And that, right there, is the perfect time to practice English, not with pressure, not with fear, not because you have to, or because someone said it's time to study, but because it fits, because in that moment, your mind is quiet enough to receive. When you listen with peace instead of urgency, the words stay longer, the sounds sink deeper. There's no competition, no comparison, just you and the language, slowly building something together. Like two strangers who become friends, not overnight, but gently, through time shared in silence and ease. You don't need to understand everything. You don't need to repeat every word. You just need to be present, because presence is powerful. It's what makes learning feel less like work and more like life. And when English becomes part of your life, even in these soft, quiet moments, it starts to feel less like a challenge and more like a companion, something that grows with you, something that understands the rhythm of your evenings, just like Elias did. So take a breath, settle in. You're exactly where you need to be, too. So tonight, when this video ends and the screen fades to black, don't let the language disappear with it. Keep listening. Keep the door open. You don't need to study. You don't need a lesson plan. Just play a gentle voice. Maybe another story. Maybe a simple conversation. Maybe the sound of English flowing like a river in the background of your quiet night. Say a soft sentence out loud, even if it's just, I'm here, I'm learning, I'm okay. Describe your day in the simplest words you know, what you saw, what you felt, what made you smile. Speak it not to impress, but to connect, not to perfect, but to express. And if you're too tired to talk, just whisper. Whisper something kind to yourself in English. Something like, you did enough today. Or, I'm proud of you. These words may be new, but the feeling behind them is not. Let the language sit beside you, not as a task or a test, but as a quiet friend, a guest at your table, a light in your room. Let it stay with you as you turn out the lamp, as you tuck yourself under the blankets, as the stillness of the night begins to wrap around everything. Because this soft, peaceful presence is how you learn, not with noise, not with pressure, but with quiet trust, with gentle steps, with moments that feel like they belong only to you. Let English live here, in your calm, your comfort, your evening. Let it grow where it's welcome, and tonight, let it rest with you. Because when learning feels calm, when it meets you in moments of peace, not pressure, it settles into your life in a way that lasts. It becomes a part of you. Not something outside, not something to chase, but something that lives quietly within. Like a rhythm your heart begins to recognize. Like a voice that doesn't demand, but gently stays with you. If this helped you feel calm, if even for a moment your breathing slowed and your mind softened, then let it be the beginning of a new habit. Like the video, leave a comment that simply says, English is part of my evening now. That one sentence can be your small promise to yourself. And if this space feels like one you want to return to, subscribe. You don't need to come with questions. Just come as you are. I'll be here each time you need a quiet moment, a gentle voice, a companion to end your day with. So as the night deepens and the world goes quiet, Let this be your signal to rest. End your day with English. Let it move with you like a soft breeze. Let it calm you, not challenge you. And above all, let it remind you. You're doing enough, you're learning, and you're not alone. Rest easy tonight.